Hello and welcome to the show, LinkedIn Live show here today, Wednesday, 12 o'clock, like every Wednesday at 12 Pacific Standard Time. And I am really excited about today. But first, I just want to go through a few housekeeping things. Last month we were talking about goals and habits and follow through and how to stick with those habits. And this month of February, I wanted to dive in a little bit more on practical aspects, tips, tools, strategies. Last week, I had a guest, Stacy Brown Randall, who was referred to me by today's guest. So it's a small world. But she talked about how to generate referrals without asking, a very unique aspect. And today, I have somebody who has been a good friend, a mentor. And if you've spent any time on LinkedIn, you will know who he is. You've seen his name. And it is John Nemo. He is a best-selling LinkedIn author, trainer. He's been featured by LinkedIn's official blog, Social Media Examiner, Entrepreneur on Fire, Inc. Magazine, Huffington Post, Business Insider. There's almost nowhere that John has not been when it comes to anything LinkedIn, and as a matter of fact, business coaching and consulting as well. He has personally rewritten the LinkedIn profiles of people like Chris Brogan, John Lee Dumas, John Jantz, Mari Smith, who's a queen of all things Facebook, Dan Miller, Ray Edwards, Tom Ziegler, the son of Zig Ziglar, and Jarek Robbins, of course, the son of Tony Robbins. So that's not impressive enough. He's a really good guy, very generous with his content, his time, and he has been my mentor and taught me pretty much everything I know about LinkedIn, but also having the right mindset to engage and communicate authentically. So without further delay, let me bring in John Nemo.
Hey.
Hi, John. Welcome. Excited
How are
to
you?
be here.
Thank you for bringing me on. Let's just start here for everyone watching on LinkedIn Live. I am so jealous of you right now, Viveka. I still don't have access. What do I have to do to these people? Do I have to go out? Do I have to track down? Well, Reid Hoffman's no longer really involved. Jeff Weiner's leaving. I don't even remember who the new CEO is, but I'm going to find him. So I'm going to hijack the interview right away. So what have you found most valuable with LinkedIn Live? Because you've been doing it now for a while. I'm really curious, just selfishly as a LinkedIn trainer and author, like what's been your experience with this? What are you seeing works? What are you adjusting and building on?
Yeah, I think keeping it fairly short. When I do interviews like this, I try to keep it within about 30 minutes. My audience are really busy attorneys and any business owners for that matter. They don't have too much time. So we don't try and keep it tight. It's like short sound bites and visual. And if it's just me, I'll keep it within about 15 minutes. So just keeping it really sort of short and concise, fun. But, the whole point of being live is to welcome people that are joining us, recognize them and really try and keep an eye on their questions. And so if you see me looking up to the side, either way, it's because I have to look at another device to actually see who's joining us, and especially if they have any questions. So I love that aspect of live. And of course, things can go wrong, and they do, and you just go with it. But people realize that, that's a situation, the exchange, and the benefit to them is that they get to ask questions on the fly right then and there. And then, we do our best to answer. So it just gives that dimension, and that sort of fun personal touch that people really like. And I think that they yearn for now with all the noise and all the content that gets thrown at you. You sort of ache to see somebody, face to face in person and the humanity behind a company or a law firm or a business.
Right. And I think that's for your audience too, for attorneys, that's such a big piece of this. And I know you do a lot with that, with branding and marketing, but even just, and I guess we can get into, formal questions that we talked about ahead of time, but I love what I'm really seeing a lot of people having success with on LinkedIn. And let me know, I don't know how to look for chats or questions, so you just interrupt me.
I'll be looking, so you keep talking your good to everyone.
One of the core tips I'm giving everyone, and if you're part of, LinkedIn Nurses Training, you know all this already, but you really have, let me do a flyby here with my phone, but you really have your personality in the palm of your hand. And one of the core kind of tenets or strategies, especially for attorneys, if you're networking, looking for clients, referrals, there's all the money on LinkedIn is really in the mailbox right now. and I can show examples of that and everything, but really the video is what's working best on LinkedIn, not just posting, selfie videos in the LinkedIn newsfeed, which we can talk more about, but really where I'm seeing a lot of success, and I know you've been doing this with voice memos as well, is personalizing one-on-one messages to prospects with video. And a lot of people don't even understand that, but with the LinkedIn mobile app, in the midst of a one-on-one message back and forth, you can literally send someone a personal video. Just hold up your phone. Hey, Vivica, it's John. Thought I'd actually put a name with a face. It's great to connect with you. You can see the snow behind me in Minneapolis. I hope you're enjoying San Diego. I'm so jealous. Anyway, great to connect. Excited to talk to you. If you've got questions about blank, please respond. Let me know. And, cheers. Thanks for connecting. Like, you can do that with targeted prospects on LinkedIn. A quick little one-on-one, let me do a flyby, little video message on your phone that really replicates face-to-face engagement. And it's treating this platform like the world's largest professional coffee shop. And the money being in the mailbox in one-on-one interacting. I think I've always tried to crack the code on that since I started. And really now that's where I'm seeing huge growth and huge opportunity, because not a lot of people do it.
No, and also, sometimes when I talk to some of the law firms, I can see their wheels spinning and they're thinking it's a big production style, endeavor, and they have to get, professional crews there, and it becomes a costly ordeal. And I say, no, actually quite the opposite. I mean, what people want is what's real. And what is real? What can most of us do? Well, we can hold a camera, we can get in front of a screen, and we can just be who we are and share whatever value we have to offer and benefit. And it does not have to be production style. What I've seen resonate when it comes to video specifically is really more of the home version of recording. I mean, make sure that you have a steady phone or a tripod or something. But besides that, just go for it. And with the law firm specifically, I talk, don't promote, don't sell anything, just be who you are. Give somebody a really good tip on sort of a layperson level. Give some insight to some new associates or staff that you're hiring, and give your firm, your practice, goes for business as well. Give it a face, give it a personality. Every company, every business outfit has a personality. Do you agree?
Yeah. And I think that's what's missing. And I talk about this, and I'm going to find an example of this that I did recently in real time. Yeah. But
before you do, I'm going to cut you off right there. Before we get too far here, I did this fantastic, impressive introduction of you, but there's a lot more there. There's a backstory. So before we dive in, can you tell us a little bit more about what exactly happened in 2012? Back there, come on.
You're like, who is this?
We want to hear your story.
I'm just getting into training. But yeah, so basically what my backstory is, I had a really safe 6-figure day job. I had training as a journalist. I worked for the Associated Press and newspapers, and then worked in public relations and worked for trade associations. And back in 2012, I was really unhappy. I had that corporate job, safe, 6 figures, whatever, but I had this entrepreneurial itch. I really wanted to go out on my own, and I really wanted to start my own agency, start my own company. And I finally made that leap. I had 3 young boys at home. My wife was at home. I had one client. I don't recommend this strategy, but if you know me, like, I'm not the planner type. Like, I'm just going to go and go for it. And Tony Robbins, says, burn the ships behind you. Don't give yourself an option to fail. Right. So I quit my day job in 2012. I quit this safe 6-figure day job. I had one client, had enough money for 30 days, and I jumped and I left. And so I set up Nemo Media Group in a corner of our bedroom with a wobbly folding card table. I had a Super Pretzels box that I put my computer on because I ate all the pretzels, because of course I would, because salt is the lifeblood of entrepreneur champions, as you know. And so I had a plan. And what I realized was, I didn't have a budget. I wasn't going to go do coffee meetings all day. I wasn't going to travel. I wasn't going to do professional footsie at networking events. I was going to go and find my exact clients and leads on LinkedIn. And what I was able to do using LinkedIn all the way back in 2012 was, within 90 days, I was able to get 6 figures in revenue and get a bunch of clients in the door and build a business from scratch. And that led to then clients saying, hey, how did you do that? Show me what you did. Why did this work? Get us clients the same way. So then I created a book Watch this gratuitous book flyby.
Okay,
Ready?
here we go.
Here we
Shameless.
go.
Woo! Oh, I know that one well.
LinkedIn Riches. I wrote a best-selling book. I created an online course, audiobook, podcast. I want to tell the story too. We'll tell that later of how I got all these big name endorsements and wrote their profiles. But
Yes.
let me show you.
Okay.
We're going to go screen share. All right. Okay. So Viveka, hold on. Anything
for the backstory. Here we go.
Okay. Because I want to show people what I did as I trained them with the backstory. So hopefully this is kicking in. All right. Can you see my LinkedIn profile now?
We can see your profile, I believe. Yes.
Okay. So
if anybody's joining us, I know that Kamal has joined us. And Kamal, give me a thumbs up or say yes if you can see all the screens, our 2 thumbnails.
Somebody tell us.
Okay.
Well, I'm not stopping. I'm on a roll. So what I want to share as I'm training people is one of the core tips I teach about LinkedIn and how to attract clients and win new business is to flip your profile upside down. So instead of having your LinkedIn profile read like a resume where it's written in the third person and talks about you and your job titles, instead really making it all about how you could help a target niche audience. And when I went back, and actually this dates back to September 2011, that's probably when I started this as a side hustle, and then I quit in 2012. But I realized one of the previous jobs I had, I'll scroll down, was working in debt collection. I was working for a trade association. I had a bunch of success. I, got a bunch of awards and accolades, blah, blah, blah. And what I realized was, hey, while I'm working in this niche for this trade association, one of the core pain points or problems that our members had, debt collection agency owners, was nobody understands how to help us market ourselves. Nobody understands how to help us win new business. And so I would help them just through the trade association with PR and things like that. So when I went out on my own, I had approximately 1 client, and that was a debt collector. So I thought, you know what? The best advice I got, Viveka, was the riches are in the niches. Be a big fish in a small pond. Right. And so what I did with my LinkedIn profile was, instead of it saying John Nemo Media Group, CEO and president, with his folding card table in the bedroom, this was my LinkedIn headline: debt collection industry marketing consultant. Debt collection marketing consultant. So my LinkedIn headline was all about a niche audience and then a service I provided, marketing. And then this is what I teach people with the first sentence of your LinkedIn profile to really make it client facing. And I have an ebook where I teach people this, but this is really the first sentence is what I do. And you say, I help my target audience, this niche audience, achieve a goal or a benefit they want by providing this product or service. And this really came out of How to Win Friends and Influence People, Dale Carnegie, 1936. He wrote, these great words that I built my whole business off of, which is your ideal clients and customers do not care about you. They care about themselves. Right. Morning, noon, and after dinner. So when I flip my LinkedIn profile around to say, I'm all about helping you. So what I do, I help this audience, your debt collection agency. Here's the benefits they want: increase revenue, win clients, and enhance and protect their brand online. And then how I do it, by providing these services, and then, why it works, what makes me unique. I've got this industry experience. So once I had this client-facing profile, and once I went out and started using LinkedIn, which, if you don't understand, it's one of the world's best search engines for leads. 700 million members, 200 different countries, 2 new members join every second. And it's all this data is indexed. So LinkedIn search became basically Google for B2B leads for me. So I would go in, search by people. Of course, Viveka is always my number 1 search, but right. So I would go in and I would search for debt collection agency owners, CEOs, presidents, the decision makers. Because when you use LinkedIn properly, there's no gatekeepers. You can go and target your exact prospect, your exact client, the exact person you want to work with. So what I did was, step 1 was I had this client-facing profile. I'm all about helping debt collectors get what they want. Here's why I'm credible and valuable. I have this industry experience, blah, blah, blah. Then when I invited them, they were eager to connect because I was all about them. Right. Instead of another consultant, general, generic. And that's one of the core tips that I talk about.
Yeah. And that's, so we were going to talk about 3, and I failed to mention that, but you've addressed the sort of the first point here. We had 3 topics today. One was how to create a client attracting and client facing LinkedIn profile. And the second we're going to talk about is the magic messaging template that really generates.
Wait a minute. Look at this. Talk about hyper niche focused.
Wait,
Where you got this from, Viveka. So let's break down why you're so successful, okay, and why attorneys love you. So JD, that's like a legal term, right? Like you're an actual attorney. So one of the things I always teach people is, and you really understood this from day one, is stay in the industry that you've already had success in. So a lot of the clients that I work with are coaches, consultants, small business owners. And Viveka's got, you could do marketing for anyone. You're really good at it. You're a great writer, you're a great marketer, a great digital strategist. But you realized, and when we talked through your story, you're a former attorney, you understand the industry, you get the pain points, you know exactly the challenges that they have. So when they see an invite from Viveka has JD, oh, she's just like me. She's an attorney and she's wanting to connect with me, an attorney, a law firm person. But then look at the headline, which follows you everywhere on LinkedIn. I get an invite from Viveka. What does it say? It says, helping lawyers. Hey, I'm a lawyer, right? And law firms. I own my own law firm. What's the benefit we get? Step up and stand out online. Okay. So she's going to help me online. What's the benefit to me? I'm going to get qualified clients and qualified referrals consistently. And I'm not here to be your hype man or sales machine, but you were just, before we went on air, you're like, what's that?
I'll pay you later.
Okay. No, before we got on air, you were just telling me this story that needs to become a case study of an attorney you work with that got so many referrals, you had to like turn off the messaging, right? Because you're applying this for your clients. And so you look at this, what I do, I help this audience of law firms, lawyers, business owners get these benefits by providing this. What makes me unique? Services I offer, right? Here's my program. Here's a bullet point list. So this is the magic, right? And now we can talk about the messaging magic, but I wanted to use your profile as an example because you're someone that obviously this audience knows if they're tuning in, but really understanding the power of this client-facing profile.
Yeah, I mean, and you know, it was kind of a game changer when you and I started talking, and you were helping me shape this profile too. It's, you know, it felt initially as though it was, here's what I do, here's what makes me unique, here, you know, I. And I thought, well, wait a minute, I wanted to do a very client-facing, benefits-driven profile. So everything that talks about what I do or what makes me unique, I had to make darn sure that I was only stating it in such a way that whoever was reading it, my prospective audience, would realize very quickly what the benefit was to them. So the only reason I'm raising what I do and what makes me unique, it has to be benefits driven always. And this is a conversation I have with attorneys too, because often attorneys will feel that they can post their resume or a bulleted, very drab, boring, type of CV or resume or something like that. And they're talking about their accolades. They're talking about their peer reviews, their multi-million-dollar pre-court settlement. And none of that matters unless you're flipping it and saying, and this is exactly how it's going to benefit you, my prospective client. So really reversing that spotlight, that's a big part of the conversations I have with attorneys is we can still use all of that goodness, but let's flip it. So it's really all about your client, because that's where
literally, and this is one more real-time example. Everyone knows duct tape marketing. I literally approached John and said, can I rewrite your profile for you for free, right? This is part of how I got Brogan and John Lee Dumas and now John Jant, I can claim his name, providing value, right? Like that's even for attorneys, you've got to provide some value to clients to demonstrate you can help them. You know, maybe that's a case study of how you got a settlement for someone in a certain area, you know, with personal injury, whatever. But with John, like went in and same thing, client facing and, you know, where you've seen me, the social proof and who I serve. And so there's all these different things. But before I forget, can I show them the messaging magic?
Yes. So that's the second part. And then I just want to give them an overview. One was talking about the LinkedIn profile. The second aspect we were talking about, which we're going to dive into now, is the magic messaging. And then the third part will be, you know, how publishing tons and tons of content, while time consuming on LinkedIn, is usually a waste of time and how we're going to replace that. But let's go into the second point, the magic.
All right. And David is trying to find the live event here. David, get on here. I just sent him. So, okay. So all the money on LinkedIn is in the mailbox, all the money. And one of the things that people are relieved to hear when I work with them with, LinkedIn lead generation and training is you don't have to publish reams and reams of content. You don't have to put out 50 videos a day and 40 blog posts a week and 20 million status updates. It's really much more about one-on-one personalized marketing. And so let me actually show you an example of what this looks like. And the template is very simple. One is client-facing profile, and then step 2 is you're using LinkedIn search here to target your ideal prospect. And then step 3 is I use this, what I call the messaging magic template. And let me show people it has 4 key parts. Part 1 of this one-on-one LinkedIn message, and this is after you connect and do some ice breaking. And, we can talk about that later. But part 1 is you ask a question. Part 2 is you offer something of value for free. Part 3 is you ask permission. You don't just assume they want your link or want to have a call. And part 4 is you don't pressure them. Because when you look at the LinkedIn messaging experience now, what you'll notice is it's very much conversational. You can do animated GIFs, you can do emojis, you can do attachments. I'm trying to find the guy I was joking with about the Badgers. Hold on.
Yeah. But you're right. It's very conversational. And that's another point that's rather unique for attorneys, because we all come out of law school speaking in a certain way and projecting and, and acting in a certain way that we believe is expected. And so the language, the written language spoken is much more formal than what we're seeing on LinkedIn now. And really, if you're trying to connect with, between one human being and another human being, you're not going to speak it in a legal brief. You're going to speak conversational like you do in real life. And so the point is, try to have those conversations, try to be and reflect who you are offline, online. Yes. I mean, it's just really just you having a conversation. And so that can sometimes feel a little bit too casual initially for attorneys. Right. So that's another part of the conversation that we have is it's okay to have that sort of conversational tone and just know that it's different when you're trying to connect with a human being.
Because in real life, now I'm speaking from experience. 4 of my first cousins are attorneys. My dad's brother, all of his sons, including their dad, are attorneys. In real life, they don't say, "Hey, John, legally speaking, the doctrinal, jurisprudence of your choice to cheer for the Minnesota Vikings is very interesting to me." Like they're like, "Hey, how's it going? Did you watch the Vikings game?" Whatever. Like they're real human beings, and especially if you're an attorney courting a certain type of client, consumer, or whatever, even if you're targeting corporate clients, they're still human beings. They still want to interact, have the ice broken. They still have a sense of humor. The big mistake people make, and this is the example I wanted to show. See if I can pull up this. Okay, here comes the messaging. But is we're afraid to be human. We're afraid to just banter and break the ice. So this gentleman approaches me totally cold out of the blue the other day. Says, "Hey, speaking opportunity, blah, blah, blah. I do this event and, would be interested. I'm in Minneapolis, which is about 4.5 hours away. Would you want to come speak in May to this group of Wisconsin companies and marketers on LinkedIn?" And I said, "Hey, as a diehard Minnesota Gophers fan, I can't wait to hear about descending into the belly of the beast. Happy to hear more details." And then I send this kind of joke, animated GIF, which is our mascot, University of Minnesota Goldie Gopher, throwing a snowball on the Welcome to Wisconsin side, which all of us know Wisconsin is inferior to Minnesota, right? No, we're arch rivals. We're the Hatfields and McCoys. So I immediately am ice breaking with him, right? I said, and then I looked at his profile. He went to the University of Minnesota and Wisconsin. Now all of a sudden we're bantering, we're ice breaking. Right. All good. Tell me more about it. Here's the deal, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, yeah, you know what? Ends up not being a fit for me, but I'll find someone for you. And then I send another animated GIF of our mascot killing his mascot, which is super, right? And so
I think that the key in the messaging there too is the fact that, it's personalized. Yeah. So I can't even tell you the way LinkedIn, especially this last year, I've gotten so many connection requests from people that either they go with a default connection request, and sometimes, I'll look at their profile, take a moment to see, does it make sense? But, if you can set aside 2 seconds, who cannot? If you're reaching out to somebody, tell them why you think there's a mutual benefit. Is there a reason that we're connecting? Just go beyond the default, and because when you just rest on the default messaging, it makes it seem like you're mass mailing everyone in the world indiscriminately. So, somebody reached out to me the other day and they wanted to let me know that they had real estate for sale in New Zealand. And I thought, what about my profile tells you that I have any interest in buying real estate in New Zealand right now? And I don't quite get it. So when I go in, you look at the profile, you see where we can connect, if it makes sense, and you discriminate in a good way.
Yeah, it's quality, not quantity. And I play this game too because I have 20,000 connections. So I'm trying to scale.
More intimate connections. I get it.
Right. But where I'm having the most success, this has never changed, is one-on-one personal, engagement. So like you said, Viveka, now when I'm targeting someone, I'm immediately looking for icebreakers. Okay, I see she lives in San Diego. I can talk about that. I see where you went to school. Maybe you put in under hobbies or, achievements, something. I happen to know you're an incredible skier, right? So I could talk about skiing. And I could ice break a little bit, but also give context. So here's an example of actually a good LinkedIn invite. So this person, professional speaker and media consultant, actually said, hey, I saw you sent a post about the speed engagement. I'd love to learn more. Since I said in the post, I'm not going to take the gig. If anyone's interested, let me know. I know now I can instantly help her, or there's context for the exchange. These other ones, and this is not to throw shade on Randy or Tom, but what do you want? What's in it for me? Right? Yeah. Like, you're a financial representative. Are you just going to try to sell me investment stuff? You're a writer. Are you just looking for gigs? So if you take the time to personalize it, a really good invite will say, hey, this is why I'm reaching out. This, I help attorneys do X, Y, and Z. If you're interested in some free advice, let me know. And that's where we get back to this one-on-one messaging script. And so this is kind of the template I teach students to use once you've kind of broken the ice and bantered a little bit and talked. And you can pivot to the business part of the talk. And you say, curious, are you interested in blank? And blank is really a topic that you think might be of interest. So for an attorney, looking for clients in the, personal injury or something like that, you could say, curious, are you interested in tips on, personal injury incidents? Or are you interested in tips on corporate governance? Or are you interested in tips on, wills and family trusts? You say, the reason I ask is, or if so, I have some free content. And then you offer something of value, and they say, if you'd like to see how it works, you ask permission, just reply with yes or thumbs up. I can send it over. If you're not interested, no worries at all. And I use this script on LinkedIn to get people to a webinar. So here's an example of David where I said, hey, David, hope life is treating you well. And I'm repeating something I offered previously. So I know I may have asked you about this before, but just wanted to check back. Do you ever use or want to use, here's the benefit, LinkedIn to find clients and customers? If so, I have something of value, a free on-demand webinar.
Right.
Here's where I ask permission. Just reply yes or shoot back a thumbs up. I can send a link. If it's not of interest, no worries. Just thought I'd check in. But I wait for him to raise his hand and to say yes. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that permission-based sort of foundation. I think that's so key too, because things are pushed in front of our face constantly. And so when someone suddenly says, if you're interested and that it's within the realm of their work or their business development, then ask permission, because that empowers them, and people really appreciate that. Just like the video, which gives the dimension to and humanity and personality behind the company or the huge law practice or whatever it is you are. I just have to stop here for a second. I have to interrupt because there's a Ben Gutman.
Oh, Benny.
And he's saying, hey, I went to high school in Wisconsin. You gopher, LOL. I think that's for you, John, but I just wanted to make sure you caught that.
Ben is always trolling. ABT is Gutman's motto, always be trolling. Yeah, he and I have a lot of fun. He's a LinkedIn Riches online course member and insider, and he's very good at the personality. And we have a lot of fun. And
I can tell.
Yeah, and this is a great, example of this, even what we're doing online. I think even I know your audience, attorneys, and I run into this too with people in very serious and stiff professions. Again, but I know my cousins who are attorneys. And by the way, they're like partners in huge law firms in Minneapolis. They are regular Joes. And the way that they win business is they bring their personality to the client meetings.
Yeah.
And they bond and they connect and they play golf or they have a beer and they win business that way. Where the disconnect happens, not only for attorneys, but for regular business people like you and me on LinkedIn, is we don't view that as a portal to insert your personality. We somehow think on the other end of that LinkedIn invite or message is just a name, a number, a prospect, a computer, button. It's a person. It's a person. So whatever we can do to inject our real life, authentic self through a quick video, through some icebreakers, through joking about the weather, that just helps make us more memorable. And I talk about this all the time in my other trainings, but the biggest sin in marketing is to be boring, is to not stand out from the crowd, is to not be memorable. So people want to have a narrative to remember you by. Like I was telling you the Wisconsin story because that was a speaking opportunity that I'll always remember who that guy is, because we were doing, bantering about our universities. Like there's a narrative I can joke with him about, I can circle back to him with, talking about our schools and how they perform at athletics. And that's important. That's just that human element that we kind of lack sometimes on LinkedIn. Wouldn't you agree with that?
Absolutely. I think that, as time goes by and I'm working with more and more attorneys and law firms, I think the biggest hurdle is really getting over this notion of this idea that they've been stuck in for a long time, that we were all stuck in for quite a while, is that you have to have that formality and you dare not stray from that. But I tell you that every time I've worked with an attorney, and we add that personalization, and they're bold. I always say they're bold enough. It's a brave, new, bold world. And whoever dares to step up and stand out, which, is what my headline says, is, they're going to get rewarded because people connect with that. And I don't care if you're trying to reach a large company or key stakeholders, CE level in any company, or anyone else individual. We're all human beings. And so as soon as you kind of dare to pull down that veneer, as I call it, that facade of professionalism to some extent. We all have that line is drawn at different places, but I see a resonance in who they're trying to connect with. It's almost instantaneous, and it's just a matter of being bold enough to step into that and dare to show more of your personality. So that's probably, if you were to ask me 2 years ago what I did for attorneys, maybe it would be generating, quality leads. And if you ask me today, it's really finding or refining who they are and what their passion is and how they serve, what makes them unique in the way they serve others. And it's really, a lot of it has to do with personality branding, more so, I'd say today.
And I think too, a key thing that you hit on is overlaying or transposing the real life you onto LinkedIn. Right. What's the real life Vivica like? And does her online presence reflect that? Does her content reflect that? Does her photo reflect that? Do her videos reflect that? Does her LinkedIn messaging reflect that? Mm-hmm. And the other real benefit of being your authentic real self, not having to pretend you're someone you're not, just bringing your real life personality, sense of humor into engagements, bringing your personality through, is you will attract the type of clients that like that and want to work with you. And you'll repel people that are a terrible fit. And This is breaking news, but there's 700 million people on LinkedIn. You don't have to have all of them like you.
Yeah, oh darn.
Yeah, you just need the right, and it saves you, especially if you're in a client service, professional service industry, consulting, coaching, attorneys, working closely with, like, you don't want to have those nightmare clients. And if you win them on a false premise, on a fake persona, that's on you. Whereas if you win them on, this is what I'm like in real life, they enjoy that. I win so many clients who say, yeah, I've been listening to your podcast. I just love your stories about your dog. My dog has the same name, Rosie. And I was just doing a call with someone yesterday.
Rosie has her own LinkedIn profile, I imagine.
Yeah. It's just it's more, we can't take the human element out of business, especially attorneys. You have to, and I see so many attorneys, the marketing is just billboard, hammer, 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 hammer. And it's like, well, who are you? Would I trust you? if someone got killed, why would I choose you? If I had this horrible personal injury, if I had a corporate thing, like it's all relationships and trust. So lay that into LinkedIn. Tell me, I want to pick your brain. So I don't know how much you can share, but you had this crazy situation where one of your clients, an attorney client, you were setting up a referral system,
right?
And you had to turn it off because it was too good.
Yeah, I mean, and this criminal defense attorney, which initially I thought, there's certain areas of practice in law. Thanks for raising that.
No, I'm fascinated that you had to turn off the market because it was too good. Like that's
okay. So
we all want that problem. So tell us, there's a criminal defense
story behind that, and I thought, well, I haven't really criminal defense attorneys, and would their clients really be on LinkedIn, or what channel? Where would they be? And it's not like somebody has concerns about a DUI or something and raises their hand on a channel nice and loud and says, "Hey, I might have done a wrong here and I need some help." You don't want to really announce that. So kind of tricky. And there's some just some areas of practice that just aren't going to be conducive, at least if we're talking the LinkedIn sphere. But then I thought, well, how do these attorneys, after several conversations, how do these attorneys get clients and really well-matched clients? And it usually was, 9 out of 10 times for these practice areas, it was from other attorneys. And so they got referrals by word of mouth from primarily other attorneys. So I thought, well, why don't we just build a very high quality referral network with other attorneys for you, Mr. Criminal Defense Attorney, in a very, very small town in Kentucky. Well, what happened was that I said, I can stand behind finding at least 5 attorneys in your rather limited area within a month. And what happened within a week was we had about 24 attorneys that were very eager to get on the phone and needed help with, in various aspects, criminal defense aspects of their caseload. And he was inundated and he didn't know what was going on. And he was very suspicious to start out with. But so that was really fun. That was super cool. It went so well. And his poor assistant quit on him. And I think he had to turn around and figure out how he was going to take on more associates or staff or something. And
not your problem. You did your job too well.
Well, that went too well. So it does work. If you're getting clients, directly to client on LinkedIn, if they're business facing, or we see a lot of additional spheres jumping into LinkedIn these last 2 years, especially, but also if you rely on referral networks. And on LinkedIn, like you said, you can get so granular now, more than most channels at this point, that you can really find good matches where it's going to benefit them as much as it is, your business. And it's all about sort of, creating that win-win situation.
This is fascinating. And this is great for me because I just picked up a new client who he runs a franchising business, but he wants to target a very small niche of professionals only in the state of Florida. So I'm like, great, that'll be super easy. Like the smaller, the better. And one of the things with LinkedIn and how powerful the search engine is, especially with Sales Navigator, as you know, is you can literally say, I want attorneys in this zip code of Kentucky within 25 miles who practice law in these areas. And obviously it's so hyper-targeted, so hyper-focused. And I'm sure your copy was so well done that's just a great example of, also too, like I loved your business acumen there, Viveka, to say, let's pivot. Because a lot of people would say, well, I'm just going to chase clients. I'm going to chase the end result. But you quickly ascertained, like, we actually have to step back. Like how, because LinkedIn is not the best platform for chasing directly to consumers. It's just not.
Often it's not, yeah.
Yeah. And so you had a brilliant idea to go, well, let's just partner up and get referral sources, build relationships. They're local. That's much easier to build the trust, to meet, and you knocked it out of the park. So kudos to you. That's...
Well, thank you. Now here I am having an interview with John Nemo, and the spotlight's supposed to be on you, and you keep pivoting it back to me. That's so typical and so generous of you to do. I appreciate it.
Listen, here's an interesting story. So you will learn, first of all, I'm not a big deal. So thank you for saying that, but I'm not. If you know me in real life, I'm very, whatever.
Yeah.
So Mr. Duct Tape Marketing, John Jantz, what was so fascinating about him, and I'm going to have him on my podcast. I'm going to be on his podcast. he agreed to let me redo his LinkedIn profile. He loved it. But anyway, the whole way that we connected, I was obviously in my world, in marketing, he's a huge deal. Everyone knows duct tape marketing. He's a legend, right? He bought one of my like $7 ebooks like 3 years ago. And I remember seeing the name come in on the sale. I didn't even know it was on my email list. I didn't even know. And I'm like, why would like one of the biggest names in marketing buy one of my products? He doesn't know me. I've never talked to him. I'm not a big deal. So I messaged him and totally went fanboy. I was like, oh my God, I'm a huge fan. I can't believe you want any of my content. Like, like give you back your $7, you know, like, thank you so much. And he wrote, hey, never stop learning. Never stop being curious.
Absolutely.
Like, that's why, like on this interview, I would rather learn from you. Like anyone could come on an interview and be all self-indulgent and self-important and toot their horn. But I find it's much more valuable to like learn. Like I got a new technique out of you now. So thank you. I'm going to steal your stuff and
cool.
Thank you.
Really? There's abundance of everything to go around. Hey, so we talked about how to create that client attracting LinkedIn profile. Then we talked about some of the messaging and how you can generate sort of authentic engagement, in a relevant way with the right kind of clients. And then the third point here is why publishing tons of content on LinkedIn is usually a waste of time, and how should we do it differently? Give us a bit on that. Well, I drink some water before I have a cough.
No, please don't go dying on me. Here's the thing with LinkedIn that I've found, and things have changed. And so being on the platform purely for lead generation and sales and business for the last decade, I've seen these like sea changes and shifts. And the current model that you'll hear a lot of gurus online talking about right now is, oh, LinkedIn content's where it's at, man. The organic reach is off the charts and this and that and that. And it's like, here's the core thing. You can't deposit likes or shares in the bank account. You just disappeared, Vivica. Hopefully you haven't left me. But
no, I was just coughing a bit here. Okay.
Having a coughing fit. Well, I thought,
I'm still
what
here.
am I doing wrong? But one of the core things I've learned is you can churn out a ton of content, but it's so much more effective and easy. Wouldn't you agree? Just to go talk to your exact ideal client one-on-one. I would much rather spend my time in my LinkedIn inbox talking to a client one-on-one, breaking the ice, asking questions, offering free value, and then pivoting that into a sales conversation, sales call, than pumping out tons of content and hoping people follow through, opt in, like, share, chase me down for business. Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't do content. What we're doing right now is content. I'm much more about being strategic with it. So for example, you do a weekly show, but I would take these episodes, I would bottle them up, put them into a free training series or on a certain topic. I would circle back to every attorney you're connected to on LinkedIn who's a prospect, and I would share a link to this video, right? And say, hey, if you're not on LinkedIn often, here's a video I did that will give you some great tips, blah, blah, blah. Like, you can use the content and deploy it one-on-one. So the big thing I'm seeing a lot of people struggling with is, well, I'm putting out tons of content and it's not working. Well, there's a bunch of reasons for that. LinkedIn's algorithm isn't necessarily, it's just like the old days of Facebook, where you used to have a Facebook fan page. If you had 1,000 fans and you hit publish, all 1,000 people saw it. And then Facebook was like, wait a minute, that's too easy. We're going to charge you money to reach your fans now. So now if you have a Facebook fan page with 1,000 people, you hit publish, maybe 10 of them see it and you have to pay to reach the rest. Same with LinkedIn status updates is the same way. If I publish a status update on LinkedIn right now, my 20,000 connections do not see it. A small little snippet sees it, 20 or 200 see it. And then LinkedIn has this algorithm with velocity and all these things put in of that little group of John's connections that saw the status update, did they interact? Did they like? Did they share? And how quickly did they do it? And if that automated thing, if those signals seemed good, now we'll show it to 200 more people. And if they like it, 200 more. And so there's a lot of, gamesmanship and hoping that it works. I would much rather create one or two, three pieces of just amazing content, hyper focused on that niche audience, and then just use that over and over and over again, but spend my time with one-on-one messaging and just talking to each attorney. Yeah.
So what we're talking about here, and I think we started off this way, and we'll wrap it up here real soon. But and the way we were going to end it too is we're really talking about quality over
Yeah.
quantity, and it's not a numbers game, like you said. I mean, nobody needs 700 million. I don't know how many clients. I mean, you need a few really good clients that enjoy working with you, that you enjoy working with. It's a good match for you, and that are qualified for your services that you have to offer. And not only is that going to bring in some decent revenue, but you, Mr. Miss Attorney person, you're gonna have a much more joyful practice. I mean, you're gonna be interacting with people that resonated with you for personality reasons. If you stepped up and you showed who you are, and where your passion is, and what you love doing. I mean, those people that are attracted to you are going to be a good fit to work with from a personal standpoint as well. And aren't we all tired? I mean, I know in the past we've had some bad apples. And you had it, and a lot of us had that gut feeling that there was something not quite right, but maybe out of desperation or fear or whatever, you took on that client or customer. And so there are a lot of reasons to bring that personality and to start thinking in terms of just quality and focusing on less content, but high quality content, like you're all
Yeah.
about.
And I think that's a critical note to kind of finish on is I'm not saying don't have any content. You still have
Right.
to have content that demonstrates expertise and brings value. Far
Yep.
too many people, attorneys included, might just claim authority. Well, I have a bunch of letters after my name. I have a bunch of accolades. Demonstrate authority, demonstrate you can bring me value, demonstrate you've helped people just like me get a result that I am going to be in need of with a case study or similar type of content.
Yeah.
Have some great quality content, but then just map that and match that and put your effort into the human kind of one-on-one engagement. That's really where the relationships need to be built. And then the content helps you qualify people and win the business.
Yeah, and just kind of as a last point here is, part of what's going to help as far as rolling out whatever high quality content you're going to put out there, especially for attorneys to connect with their audience, tell stories.
Yeah.
Instead of shouting out in a bullhorn, your multi-million-dollar settlement, tell people, share with people the story behind it. What were some of the peaks and valleys in that story, that person that was recovering, that was seeking you out? What was the effect of it? And how did it affect their family or their friends or their reputation? I mean, and tell a story. And if you tell a story, I find that, 9 out of 10 times, it's going to resonate so much more than just giving the stats and the metrics and the numbers and the settlements and all this. Tell the story behind it. That's where people connect.
Yeah. And I learned, I was trained as a journalist. You always took the big concept, the big story, and found a human person to hook it to.
Yep.
Show me a family that's impacted by the new tax law. Show me a family that's impacted, or a mom that's impacted by this new healthcare regulation. Like, that was our job. Like, put a story and a name and a face to it. So here's a simple framework for anyone, attorneys included, to tell great stories. Just 3 things: what it was like, what happened, and what it's like now. What it was like, this client came to me in this chaotic situation. Here was who this person was. What happened? I did these things to help them. What it's like now, here they are on the other side with these outcomes and benefits and happy, healthy, whatever. It's a very simple framework, 3 steps to tell a great story.
Yeah, giving it names, giving it a year, giving it context, just paint a picture with words.
Yes.
If you can, and then do video as well, so that you can kind of tell that story in a 3-dimensional way. So we are going to wrap up. John, I thank you so much. I know we went long, but you are that good, and we could probably spend a few more hours. People don't have time, but hopefully people will join in afterwards as well. I know you're coming to San Diego, so hopefully we'll have a chance to meet up then and talk some more for hours and hours. So I know that you had mentioned something that, again, very generous of you. It was a free copy, I believe, of either audiobook or digital version of your best-selling book, which is called LinkedIn Riches, online at linkedinriches.com. Did I get
Correct.
that right?
You did? Yeah. Just go to linkedinriches.com. Put in your
Okay.
email. You can get the audiobook, the digital book. There's tons of blog posts, trainings. Thank you. Yeah. I want to bring value and help people get leads with LinkedIn.
And if you thought this was fun, just wait till you hear John's podcast, Nemo Radio. That's nemoradio.com. And I mean, you're so much fun. You have so much value and education and experience to share, but you do it in a really fun way, which is a lot of us are looking for that levity and the edutainment, as we call it, right? Education with entertainment, and you are just fantastic at that. So I learned from the best. I'm so happy that we met and that I had you as a mentor and still learn so much from you. And so beyond this, what is the best way for people to reach you if they want to reach out to you directly?
Yeah, thank you for the kind words. So LinkedInriches.com is the place to go. Also on LinkedIn, just search for John Nemo, like the fish movie Finding Nemo. You can find Nemo on LinkedIn, so you get it. So yeah, and nemoradio.com, the podcast. I have a lot of great guests. Viveka's been on there. A lot of great stories, a lot of great interviews coming up. And just thank you so much for the time and the opportunity today. It was really fun.
No, it was a blast, John. Thank you so much. And if you want to reach out to me, the best way is on LinkedIn as well, linkedin.com/IN/Viveka Hess, or you can email me directly at Viveka, Viveca, at hessconnect.com. All right, that's it. Thank you very much, John.
Thank you.